Are we ready to go? All right. So because I have all these numbers running around in my head, I thought it would be fun for you to actually see them, because it's one thing for me to say them, and I've been talking about them for a while, 10,000 miles, blah, blah, blah. But it's really remarkable to see the statistics. It's not advancing. Oh, I have to turn it on. There it goes. Okay, so we were on the road for 49 days, which was 10,115 miles by the time it was all said and done. We stayed in 27 hotels, 5 homes with friends, and 1 home with family. So clearly I have better friends than family members. No, my family's great. It's fine. We visited 20 friends and 21 family members. I made 2 new friends, and I met 3 people in person for the very first time. I've been, since Zoom and all of this, since COVID, I've been friends with these people online for the last 6 years and never met them before. And when I went to the Rostered Ministers Conference, there was one woman who actually stopped me in the hallway, and she said, "I feel like I know you." Like, I have no idea who you are. I get this all the time. I have that face that everybody thinks they know. And so whatever. And so I kept walking. She's like, "No, really, I feel like I know you." And so we talked for a minute, and she goes, "My name is Carol." And she goes, we are in Bible study with each other every Tuesday. And I went, "Carol." And she goes, "Dwelling in the Word." And I went, "Oh, Carol." So that was really fun to get to meet these people who I've been in these deep theological conversations with. Finally got to meet them in person. So I met 3 of them, which was great. We ate at 25 restaurants, and I think it was 1 or 2 Red Robins. It's not as many as I thought we would do. I have an app that's called Find Me Gluten Free, and it lets me know the restaurants that have gluten-free offerings within 25 miles of where we are. And so we tried to eat locally as much as we could to sample the local fare. But there were some times that, like when we were in Spokane, I just said, "Let's just go to Red Robin. I'm just done." So that was super fun. We went to 7 different churches. And as I said last week, some of those experiences were really good. Some of them were not so good. Some of them were a good reflection back to me of the good work that we have done. Yes. All Lutheran, all ELCA. Yeah, I can't really bend on the theology. I just couldn't do that. But going to try other places was really fun. The hospitality was questionable in a lot of places, but then there were other places where they talked our legs off, and it was awesome. And as soon as they found out who we were, then people would crowd around us and they wanted to talk to us, and so that was good. We went on 3 train rides. We visited the gas pump 37 times, which was a lot. Gas ranged anywhere from 3 something, and it was 6 something in San Francisco, because we had to fill up in downtown San Francisco because we were just out. And so because of the big drive that we had that day, we just had to do it. I read 9 books. I finished number 9 last night. Finally finished it. I'm finishing 4 more. We did 17 tours, including 3 presidential libraries. We visited 3 national parks and 15 state parks. We went to at least 3 airplane museums, right, Ken? Seattle, Dayton. What was the other one? Was it the Midway? Yeah, it must have been the Midway. But we saw thousands of aircraft, thousands. And there's still only 1 plane I can identify, and you're going to see that. We saw 6 Air Force One planes. I didn't know there were that many, but there were between Roosevelt to, did we see Obama's? Obama's is probably in Chicago. Yeah, Reagan's was the last one. So that period of time, 50 years worth of planes, from the time that they actually had them to Reagan. We met 10 dogs, 2 cats and saw 1 dead body, and I'll get to that story because it's epic. It's a great story. So here's what I learned. I learned that good preaching matters. That it's not okay just to get up and give some slop to the congregation. We were served some slop, and that's not okay. It's not okay. People come, and we were hungry. We were hungry for the word, and we were guests, and showed up and wanted to hear something. And at times there was just absolutely nothing there. At least twice we looked at each other afterwards and said, "Did you understand anything that they said?" No, nothing. So good preaching matters. And St. Andrew's is kind of spoiled. I thought I was an average preacher. I'm not an average preacher, kids. I'm better than the average bear. Yeah, thank you. I didn't really know that until I went out and experienced what other people are doing. So at the risk of sounding like I'm tooting my own horn, I don't mean to. I'm learning. I learned that I am a pretty good preacher most of the time. Hospitality matters. And we talked a little bit about this last week, how we went to one church and we sat there for 45 minutes and nobody talked to us at all. I know that, and people were walking by. It wasn't like we were in a corner. People were walking by, looking at us. Nobody waved. Nobody said hello. No one said good morning. No one said welcome. Nothing. I know you all would never let that happen. You would never let that happen. At least if there's a new face, at the very least, you would give them a good morning. At the very least. More than that, you would say, "Hey, come to coffee," or "Hey, pastor's doing a thing. Come and participate. Can you come? We're having food. Come." I mean, this is who you are. This is who you've become. This is what you would do. We didn't get any of that. I also saw that congregations love their pastors, especially when they're brand new. We had one of those. And when they're retiring, we had one of those. And in between as well. But it was really remarkable on either end of the pastorate to see the pastor who was brand new, and they're still honeymooning, and it was just so beautiful. And then the one was Pastor Ron Drury, who was retiring, and to have him on the other side and have everyone go, he was a really good pastor for us. That was really awesome. This surprised me. Joy shows up unexpectedly. That's just, like I was saying this morning, it's straight up theology of the cross, that God shows up in ways that we don't expect. And God met us on this trip in ways that I did not expect. And it was just beautiful. It was so beautiful. There was so much joy in this trip. And seeing people who I haven't seen in forever, right? In some cases, 30-some years, haven't seen or heard or done anything with them. And we were welcomed. It was joyful conversation. We laughed. When I met with my university advisor, of course, I hadn't seen him in 32 years, other than on Facebook. And I told him some of my experiences in his class, which he does not remember at all, but clearly scarred me in some way that I remember it. And he just laughed. He just laughed. And he kept, I think I said this last week, he kept looking at Ken like he was trying to place him. And I finally said, "This is not the same guy I was dating when I was in your class." And he goes, "I didn't think so." I said, "No, Ken is much better." I also learned no one person can do it all, but everybody has something to offer and contribute. And I understand that's something that you have been working on here while I've been away, which is wonderful. And I'm so happy that we both learned the same thing, even if it was on opposite ends. And because of that, I learned that my current pace of ministry, how I am your pastor, this pace is not sustainable. I can't do it this way anymore. And I don't want to. I'm not 30 years old anymore where I can work for 20 hours a day, take a cat nap, and get up and go. I just can't do that. I can't do that anymore. So I don't know exactly what this means. I just know that that's going to change. And I also have realized that because this, number 6, came to me just this week. So I've got some more reflecting to do and some more learning to do about my experiences, as you do too with yours, as we keep sharing stories, so I can understand what you've been working on, and you can understand what I learned also. Okay, now we're ready for the pictures. Okay, so this was not our first church. This was actually our second church, because at the first church, I forgot to pull my camera out. So this is First Lutheran Church down in Nebraska City, and this is Pastor Teresa right here, my favorite redhead. And they are, Next to Lucy. Yeah. She is my favorite real person who I know. My favorite redhead. Pastor Teresa and her husband Jerry are master gardeners, and so they have been working on putting in a pollinator garden, which is where she's standing, a monarch garden, and then the monarch garden is back over there, and they have a new shed, and so we were dedicating all of those spaces. And these sweet ladies, these were two of there's 8 or 10 widows who all sit together in the same spot, kind of like this area, although their sanctuary is much narrower and longer, but they sat kind of over here. And so my inclination, of course, is to sit here, but I didn't want to sit in the very front row because I don't know what's going on. So we sat a couple rows back and ended up sitting right in the midst of them. And one of them walked in and went to Pastor Teresa's husband and said, "Who's sitting in my spot?" To which Jerry said, "It's okay. They are friends of Pastor Teresa's. It's okay." So it was a beautiful sermon. It was Pentecost Sunday. Pastor Teresa is an exquisite preacher, and so she, because it was Pentecost, these were all songs that we knew, and we sang heartily, and blah blah blah. So at the end of the service, she says, "You all sound amazing. You sound like a professional choir." And all these widows turned around and pointed at Ken, and in the voice, right? So funny, so sweet. So these were two of them, and they signed my book, and they said they tried to recruit Ken for the choir. And I finally said, "I'm sorry, ladies, you can't have him. He's mine. You can't have him. St. Andrews needs him." And so but they did ask us to come back and give this report to them after I gave it to you. They want to see all the pictures. So at some point, if it's okay with Pastor Teresa, we will go down there and share there she is, share the pictures with them. Oh yeah, you can hardly see that. That's Ginny, and my cat, who decided to redecorate the window while we were gone. Those curtains are probably as old as the house is, so they're probably 60-some years old. Plus, sun damaged and blah, blah, blah. So it was not hard for her to tear that. She has torn it even more than that. The whole bottom is now out so that she can see out as you all are coming into the parking lot, especially on Tuesdays. If she's out in the breezeway, oh my goodness, she sits there like Gladys Kravitz and just judges everybody as they come in. So funny. So Yanni, when she came here, to be with you, I had dinner with her the night before, and this was the night before we got on the road. Just had great conversation with her. This is I want to say it was Colorado Springs. Yeah, the Mactory, and they have gluten-free macaroni and cheese, but it's grown-up macaroni and cheese. So you start with the macaroni and the cheese, and then you can put all kinds of other stuff on it. So I had chicken and bacon and I don't know what all. It was absolutely delicious. Really fun little hole-in-the-wall mom and pop restaurant. So fun. So then we were driving to our friend's place that's just on the west side of Colorado Springs, maybe 45 minutes or so. And these are some of the red rocks that we saw on our way there. We went for a walk when we later that evening, excuse me, and saw the moonrise. So that was really fun. I don't often get to see the moon rise over the mountains like that. Just gorgeous. This is the view from their deck. Yeah. Don't you feel sorry for them? It's just horrible. Yeah, yeah. And we found out that he bought the lot next door so that no one can build a house there and obstruct his view. Right? Just horrible. Just horrible. So then we went down the canyon, and this is the Arkansas River, and we just went for a little walk along the river walk, and it was so beautiful that day. Yeah, he's so debonair. Yeah. So funny. So that's the river. So that was our friends. That's Amy and Richard Webb. And Richard used to teach physics at Union, but he moved. They moved out to Hartselle, and their house is this log cabin that's at 9,200 feet, and of course has that amazing view and so on. And she said that since we are here at what, 2,500 feet, 27, what? We're 1,200? Is that all? Okay. So we're 1,200 feet. So to have an 8,000 foot difference in a day is a lot. And so she said, don't be surprised if you wake yourself up in the middle of the night gasping for air. Well, I did. Our bodies are amazing that as I was sleeping, I wasn't breathing deeply enough, and I kept waking up going, and I'm going, well, what am I doing? Oh, yeah, that's right, elevation. So that was very interesting. There's surfing. There was a little thing that they built actually in the rapids so people could go out there and surf. More power to them. I won't do that. So beautiful sky. Yeah. These are the Collegiate Mountains. Mount Princeton is the one in the middle. I can't remember the other two. I can't remember the other two. I'd have to look it up. Amy has started raising chickens, and they all have names, and she carries them around like footballs. It's hilarious. And she takes cuttings. She's got this big greenhouse, and she takes cuttings from her vegetable garden and takes them and feeds the chickens, the organic material. So the eggs are extraordinary. They're so good. Those are Collegiate Mountains again, but the next day, so the light's different. So then we drove on down to Durango, Colorado. Saw the train. We missed the last train ride of the day, so we didn't get to ride this train. But got to see it, which was pretty fun. And they have a little museum there, and so we got to go in and crawl on all the engines and stuff. Ken's shoveling coal. So they had this HO-sized layout in there, which is the ones that are about this big, about a little over an inch. And they had all kinds of things. And the little pink things down there on the bottom are the pigs. Where Harry and... Oh, there you are. I told you I was thinking about you. When I saw the little pig farm, they had a little pig farm in the layout. So that's the whole thing. So it's really quite big. Ken's at the front door. That's us at the front door. The train. So I don't know if you can read that. Can you read it? It says, "Why am I the only one who shows up naked for a gender reveal party?" I thought that was funny. So then we went to Four Corners. This is the next day. We drove down to Four Corners, which is on the Navajo reservation. So it costs $20 to get in, and it goes straight to the people, which is great. And then you can go out there and stand on the spot. So we did. And I sat there. Barbara Ann is in my lap. She's there. And then I did a down dog, so I've got 2 hands and 2 feet in all 4 states. That was pretty cool. Ken was much smarter than me. He did all 4 at once. So then we went to Grand Canyon. So this was our first, as we're driving into the park, this is the first things that we were seeing. So we pulled off and took pictures. It's beautiful. Finally found the visitor center and the bathroom, which was important by that point. This is called the Duck, right? Yeah, I think this was the Duck. And one of the presidents was there. Wasn't that a president, Ken? Who was there? He doesn't remember either. I don't know, somebody important was there and had his picture taken with the duck. There's a she-elk, a cow. So we took a tour that was a sunset tour, and so he took us around to all these different places waiting for the sun to get down, and then he took us to the canyon edge, and so that's where we are here, as the sun's going down. And if you ever go to the Grand Canyon, you really need to go at sunset because that's when all the yellows and the oranges and the browns really come out. The rest of the time, it's beautiful otherwise, don't get me wrong, but it's particularly beautiful at sunset. Just lovely. So the next day, then we went to Sedona. That's Snoopy. You see it? He's laying on his back. Yeah. I know, right? This is an elephant. See the trunk? Yeah, okay. I don't remember what that is. Oh, that was our hotel. Nope, that's not the hotel. I don't know what that is. Probably the same thing. That was Three Fingers. Just extraordinary. So beautiful. And the tour guide did this for everybody. He took pictures of everyone. And so this is going to be our Christmas card this year because it's perfect. It's a perfect picture. There's a hole right there, and you can climb up there. You can hike up there, and it was a cave for the Pueblos. The people lived in there at one point. I can't remember the name of that plant, but this is a plant that grows all over the place, and that one happened to be in bloom. I guess it only blooms for a day or 2 days or something, and then it withers. So we saw one that was blooming, which was really pretty. We did one of those pink Jeep tours where they take you out into the wilderness and go all over the place, and they had made you sign a disclaimer to say that you had no neck issues. Well, I have neck issues, but I'm going anyway, so I was just really careful. But there was one part, I think it was up to this place, where the ruts in the road were probably at least this deep, at least. But it's four-wheel drive, and he slammed that thing into four-wheel drive, and up we went. It was great. Just beautiful, beautiful place. So same pose, different place. That's a turtle. See it? Yeah. That's a muffin. Yeah, the obvious ones I really remember. And I think this was the next day. No, this was still the same day. That one has a name too, and I can't remember what it is. This is Sedona, got her name. Sedona Miller Schneble was her name. And the fellow who developed Sedona he wanted to name it Schneble, because that was his last name. And then, I don't remember exactly the story, but he changed his name, or changed his mind, and named it after her. And so that's how it's Sedona. This was the next day. Nope, still same day. So there's me and Barbara Ann. That's the pink Jeep. Oh, and pizza. Oh my gosh, that was probably the best pizza of the whole trip. It was so good. Gluten-free, of course. That is a amethyst geode that's about this tall. It was the biggest one I've ever seen. It was absolutely gorgeous. That was the view from our hotel room. So Snoopy is, I think, is right there. And then there's different things to look at. This was the next day. As we were leaving, you could tell the light was different. Such a beautiful place. So then we drove from Sedona to San Diego. And I had been trying to get a hold of Uncle Neil for weeks, months, and telling him, we're coming to San Diego. This is Ken's uncle. We're coming to San Diego. We'd really like to see you. Can we get together for dinner? Can we do something? We'd even take coffee, right? We want to do something. And Neil's like, yeah, sure. Call me when you get here. Okay, so we did. But there are 3 big summits on the way from Yuma, Arizona, where it was 112, 115. I don't know, it was hot. We had to stop for gas. It was bloody hot that day. And so there's three big summits on the way, and there's no cell service when you're in the valley. So every time we'd hit the summit, we'd try to call Uncle Neil. Couldn't get him. We'd go down, come back up, call Uncle Neil. No, go down. Third time, I said, listen, here's the third time. We've done due diligence. If we can't get a hold of him, we can't get a hold of him. We'll just go and we'll do the midway. Would love to get together with Neil. Well, on the third time up, we finally got him. And he thought that we were in town for some sort of conference, that we were, that I was there for some pastor thing. And no, we're here to see you. And he goes, oh, well, that makes all the difference. Talk to my daughter-in-law, and she's going to set something up. Okay. So we get on the phone with this woman named Nita. Where's Nita? I know she's in here. Oh, she didn't make it. Oh, there she is. That's Nita. On the right. This one. That's Nita. So, anyhow, in the course of the conversation, she says, why didn't you tell us you were coming? I said, well, I've been telling Neil for 6 months that we were coming. And she laughed and she says, okay, tell you what, let me call you back and we're going to get the family together and see what we can do. Okay, so she calls back 30 minutes later, and 7 members of the family who live nearby took the entire day off. They took the kid out of school, they took the day off from work, and just spent the entire day with us. All we were asking for was a meal or even coffee. We were asking for an hour, and they gave us the entire day. It was so cool. It was unbelievable. So we went to the Midway, and Neil and her husband, Michael, who is Neil's son, picked us up from the hotel, so we didn't even have to drive in San Diego traffic. Oh, that was the best. And so Ken and I are talking, and we said, well, you know, we're really excited about going to the Midway because Uncle Neil served on the Midway. And Michael says, no, he didn't. And we said in unison, yes, he did, because he told us that. And he goes, Michael says, I don't think I knew that. So we pull up to the Midway, and here comes Neil, and Michael says, Dad, did you serve on the Midway? Oh, yeah, I did it on such and such a time and such a day, and blah, 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 blah. And he goes, we had no idea. So this is the airplane I can identify. This is the only one. This is a Corsair. It was called the Widowmaker because you see the cockpit is so far back from the nose. So it was really hard to see the aircraft carrier. And if they didn't land just right, that propeller would catch on the lip of the aircraft carrier, and then it would spin, and they'd go into the water. And the other cool thing about the Corsair is that the wings fold. They fold up like this. And so they can put more of them in there on the boat. So I'm very proud. I can identify that one. Ken knows airplanes like I know Scripture. It's really extraordinary. I can lean over and say, what movie we were watching the Tuskegee Airmen. And I leaned over and I said, okay, what is that? And he said, oh, it's a B-17, or it's a, whatever it was. Well, okay. I will learn. So this is the flight deck. That's Michael, the backside of Michael, and Neil is in the wheelchair. We saw this helicopter that's up there, and it did the rescue of the Apollo capsules. So it brought back the five of them. So it's Boy, this one is a lot clearer than that one is. So it's 8, 10, 11, 12, and 13 is what they brought back. So that's Neil in front of that, and us in front of Neil in front of the helicopter. Ken, did they skip Apollo 9?
I'm sure it was just another carrier group.
Or maybe another carrier that did it? Yeah, I don't know.
They would have several retrieval ships, and whichever one was closest to the splashdown was the one that would go out and pick them up.
Yeah.
Check it out. I think they skipped Apollo 9 and went right.
Doug is convinced that they skipped 9 and went right to 10. I don't know. I really don't know. So, Ken, what's that one? Is that a tomcat?
No. I don't recognize that one.
Okay. So, here's Ken and Uncle Neil. So, Uncle Neil is his mom's brother. There were five brothers and her, and Neil is the last one. The others have all passed away. So, it was really important to me that I meet Uncle Neil. I've met some of the others, but this was my last chance to meet him. He's in his late 80s and has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So if I was going to meet him in any sort of meaningful kind of way, I needed to do that. This helicopter is really special because this was the helicopter that he served on, or one just like it, because the icon on the nose was his squadron. And it says Seawolf on the top, which is really cool. Yeah, that's it. So he started telling stories about his journey on the Midway and serving and the stuff that he did while he was on this helicopter. And so the family gathered around, and then other people gathered around, and the docents gathered around to listen to all of these great stories. It was awesome. Now that's a Tomcat. That's an F-14. Yeah, Ken's in the front, I'm in the back. Oh, and then I'm in the front and he's in the back. We argued over that, so we did both. Then Neil said that we should go on a SEAL tour. I have no idea what that is. He was career Navy, so immediately I'm thinking Navy SEALs. What does that mean? No, he means the animals. So this is an amphibious boat, and you get on, you climb into the thing, and you drive through. We drove through town, and then drove right into the harbor and sailed out to go see the sea lions. The ducks. Oh, okay. They do that at the Wisconsin Dells. Well, that's cool. That's cool. So this is Nita. Right here. She is soon to be married to Michael. This is her daughter, Amber, and this is Nita's granddaughter, Charlie, from her other daughter. So she pulled Charlie out of school to spend the day with us. That was super fun. So that's Ken, of course, and this is Danny, who is married to Nancy, who is Neil's daughter. This ship was in a movie, but I can't remember which movie it was. I thought they said it was Pirates of the Caribbean, but I could be wrong. I don't know. And then there was a battleship out there, which I thought was pretty cool. And there we are in the thing. Oh, and there's Barbara Ann. So here's the whole family, which is so, so cool. So this is Uncle Neil here. This is Michael, who's soon to be married to Nita, and that's Charlie, Amber. This is Nancy back here, who is Neil's daughter, married to Danny, and then 2 of us. So there were 9 of us all together. This was the picture I was looking for. This is when we got there. So somehow it got put to the end. I don't know why. But super fun. Just lovely. And so then Uncle Neil has a thing for Golden Corral. And so, and I never have good luck there. I get glutened when we go to Golden Corral, so I wasn't real excited about that. And Michael and Nita are always going with him to Golden Corral, so they were not terribly excited about that either. But there was a cheesecake factory right there. So they said, well, can you eat at the Cheesecake Factory? And I thought, well, historically, I don't do very well there, but I've also learned what not to order. So, and I didn't put a picture of that in there. So we ended up at the Cheesecake Factory, which was great. These airplane hangars were some of the hangars that were used in Top Gun. When they show the Naval Academy for Top Gun, that's those. Oh, and here's the seals, the sea lions, and the pelicans. And they were barking and making noise. That guy was big. He was a big boy. They're just big cats. They just lay in the sun, bark at each other, and then go back to sleep. They're so cute. Brown pelicans. This is an osprey, and they have built osprey nests, or platforms anyway, for the ospreys to nest. And this is one of the two ospreys that are there. So, so we go to dinner, and it's Michael and Nita over here, and there's me and Ken and Charlie, the little girl, she's across from me. And then the daughter, Ember, is over here, and Uncle Neil's across the way. And we found out that Ember has her PhD in chemistry. We didn't know that. And so we had the two chemists sitting next to each other. And I tell you, you could hear the gears shift as Ken ramped up his conversation so that they started talking about things that the rest of us, mere mortals, had no idea what they were talking about. And so I leaned over to Michael and I said, do you understand any of this? And he goes, nope, not a word. And I said, all I hear is wah, 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 chemistry, wah, 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 wah. So they had a great time. And Ember was leaving the next day to go to Rome because her best friend was getting married in Rome to I can't remember, I think the guy was the best friend, right, who was Italian? And so he wanted to get married in Rome. And so she was going. And so we were saying, here's what you need to know when you go to Rome. Pickpockets are everywhere. Make sure that you get a pouch and you hang all your personal stuff over your heart, because if you put it in your back pockets, it'll be gone. Ken got pickpocketed at least once that we know of, maybe more, when we were there. So I said, just watch out for the pickpockets and you'll be fine. So after that, we were driving up the coast and we saw the sign for San Juan Capistrano, which I'd never been to. So we pulled into the mission at San Juan Capistrano. That was the only picture of that. And we just wandered around. We didn't take the tour and pay the $20 to go in or anything like that. But I did pick up a really cool book of house blessings that I can use for when I go do house blessings. When people move or whatever, particularly our older folks when they move from their homes to the legacy or something like that. I usually go and they want a blessing on their house, and so this will be, or their apartment. So this will be something I can use for that. But beautiful place. This is Nixon's, right? Yeah, this is Nixon's presidential library. There he is. So that's him and LBJ. Yep, LBJ. It's just the glare. I can't quite see it. So this is a mock-up of his Oval Office, which I thought was really funny. The docent was sitting down on the couch talking to somebody. Oh, there, in that one. I thought that was funny. Ken taking pictures of the Roosevelt desk, Resolute desk. Nixon and Elvis, Nixon and Bob Hope. And then here's all the presidents and their wives at his funeral, which I found very moving to see them all bearing witness to that. And that's where Nixon and his wife are buried. That's Marine One. And then this was a monument to the soldiers in Vietnam and the POWs who have not come home. So presidential seal right there on the floor. So is that Lucy? Yeah, that one's Lucy. I took so many pictures of the stars on Hollywood Boulevard. I must have 250 of those. Just anything that we recognized, took a picture of. And it was really fun. We got to Hollywood Boulevard at 7:30 in the morning, and there were like 2 other people around. That was it. So we parked the car under Grauman's Chinese Theater and just got out and started walking while we were waiting for our tour to start at 9. And we saw maybe half of the stars. We didn't get to see them all, but we did find both of Lucy's. We found Desi's, we found Vivian Vance, and we found William Frawley. So I got, huh? What?
You saw one real life one.
What?
You saw a living star.
I saw oh, that's right. That was the morning I saw Lady Gaga. Yeah, she was getting out of the limo. And she did one of these. She gets out of the car and she does the flip, like this. And I just went, I think that's Lady Gaga. And she's got this big bruiser bodyguard with her. And all he had to do was the step. That's all he did. And I backed off. But that's right. I forgot I saw Lady Gaga that morning. Yeah. And so that was on one of the walls of a building as we went by. We went to the Hard Rock, of course. We'll get to that story in a minute. That's the Dolby Theater. That's where they do the Oscars and so on. And there's the front of that. That's Grauman's, I think. There's Grauman's. So then we got on the tour, and this is in Beverly Hills. I didn't realize that this famous statue is actually Ringo Starr's hand. I didn't know that. So palm trees, of course. Route 66, Beverly Hills. We were there. There's Rodeo Drive. We did it. There's my finger. It's smaller. It's not as big as it looks on TV. But we only saw about a block of it. We didn't go all the way down. We just didn't have that kind of time. But we did see the store where Julia Roberts gets kicked out in Pretty Woman. When she goes in and there's the snooty people and they say, "We don't think there's anything here for you. You need to leave." That's the store. So that was fun. Santa Monica Boulevard. So they took us out to Santa Monica, so we got to see the beach, got to see the Ferris wheel, walked all the way out to the end of the pier. Super fun. Yeah, Bubba Gump's. We saw Bubba Gump's shrimp. And Barbara Ann was there. So that's the end of Route 66. I don't think I knew that. It goes from Chicago clear to Santa Monica. I don't think I knew I knew it ended up in California. I just didn't know where. That's where we had lunch. Fantastic pizza. It was really, really good. Oh, this is Paramount. This is the water tower at Paramount Studios as we're whizzing by. So there's the gates, the Hollywood sign. We went up to the Griffith Observatory, and you can see it really well from up there. They had this really cool pendulum thing. What was the pendulum doing? Was it telling time?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, based on the gravitational rotation of the Earth and all these fancy things I have no idea about. But that was the view of LA, like downtown LA, from the observatory. Oh, that's Grauman's. Okay. Yeah. So I'm standing on John Wayne's footprints, just like Lucy did, in that episode where she steals the footprints. So I'm on there rocking like this to see if it was loose, but it wasn't loose. But those are John Wayne's. Yeah. I couldn't tell because of the shadow. That's Whoopi Goldberg's, her shoes, and she did her dreads. These right here are her dreads. Yeah. Super fun. And then all the Avengers, they did all of theirs in the same square, and Stan Lee right there. This is where they filmed Jimmy Kimmel. So if you watch Jimmy Kimmel and he goes out onto the boulevard to interview people and talk to different folks, that's where it is. So we went to what's her name? Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. We didn't go in because we were kind of running short on time, but they had this big Hulk who was out there in the front, so I said, go stand next to the Hulk. And so that's what I got. So then, so we go to the Hard Rock. You know I love the Hard Rock Cafe. And went in there and I got a shirt. And they have discontinued saying Hollywood because there's one in Hollywood, California, or Florida, and they didn't want to get the two mixed up. So they're switching over all the Hollywood, Californias to LA. Well, I didn't want one that said Los Angeles. I wanted one that said Hollywood. So I bought one that actually said Hollywood, but then it turned out to be a youth size, not my size, because I am not a youth size. So that night, as we were packing up, we're getting ready to hit the road the next day, I tried it on and found out that it was really small. Like, I can't get away with this, too small. So I say to Ken, it's 8 o'clock. Okay, it's 8 o'clock at night. I say to Ken, we need to go back to the Hard Rock. I got to exchange this shirt. He goes, oh, okay. And he puts on his pajamas. And I said, now wait. We have to go now. They don't open until 11 o'clock the next morning, and we're going to be long gone by then. Put your clothes on. I'm not walking the boulevard by myself. You got to come with me. So, okay, so we go down. We're like 5 blocks. Our hotel is just off of Hollywood Boulevard, and we're 5, maybe 6 blocks from the Hard Rock. We were the only white people on the street, and probably the only ones who were not stoned. The pot was unbelievable. And there were ladies of the evening doing their thing, and all kinds of things going on. It was a very interesting place to be walking at that time of night. So we got in there, and I explained to the guy what had happened and that I needed a different size. And of course, they didn't have anything bigger, so I had to get a completely different shirt, which cost less than what I had paid. So I was supposed to get a refund, except that this was his first day, and he was not authorized to give me a refund. And they could not find the manager. So finally, they got somebody else to come and do it for me, and the guy felt so bad. He said, well, let me give you some swag because you had to stand here. So I got all this free stuff that says Hard Rock Cafe, Los Angeles, of course. But I got a magnet for my car, and I got 4 buttons, and I got a back sec that says Hard Rock. So, yeah. It was pretty lucrative. It worked out really well. Then we had to walk all the way back. And that's when we found Harrison Ford's star, and we found Leonard Nimoy's star. Seems like there was one more. And there was there were 2 people who were, one was definitely mentally ill, and I'm not sure about the other one, but I noticed that Ken got kind of, you know how cats kind of puff up to make themselves look bigger when they're scared? Ken was kind of puffing up a little bit. He was being protective of me. It was very sweet. Aw, what a guy. Yay. Because, of course, I'm just like, let's just get back to the hotel. I don't even care. Let's just go. So then the next day, we actually had lunch with Yanni because she lives out there. So we had lunch with Yanni, and I forgot to get a picture of her. And then we went to Reagan's presidential library. So this was Reagan's podium where he gave a lot of his speeches from. So I got a picture there. There's his oval. He did his. I wanted to know why his oval was that color. I don't remember it being that color. But I was also pretty young when he was president. But anyway, they said that because he was from the desert, he decorated his Oval Office in desert colors. So his were not in the reds and yellows and blues, as many of them are. His were all in desert tones. So that was pretty cool. I don't remember what that is. That's another podium that he stood at and gave speeches. So they had that. There's Reagan's Air Force One. So that's one of the many that we saw. And that's inside. They let you go inside and walk around. See where the press corps was and the galley. And this was his, the limo, that they armored. with the Gipper. His police detail, his Marine One. Got to go inside of that. This is that famous Jelly Belly picture. It's a mosaic that's made all out of Jelly Bellies because he loved jelly beans so much. Yeah, so that was that. This is a piece of the East German wall, since he was president when the wall came down, so they had a piece of that. There's him and Gorbachev signing that accord. This is the grave where they are, him and Nancy, and this is the entrance. So from there, then we went to Estero Bluffs, and this was really the first place that we saw the ocean. We just pulled off and took a minute to just take it all in. It's just beautiful. Absolutely stunning. This is my favorite picture of the whole trip. Ken said he stood there. Ken took this, obviously, and he tried for 30 clicks to get this shot with my hair doing its thing. It's beautiful. I love it. And the bird was posing, so I took a picture. So then we went a little bit further up the road, and there was a lookout for elephant seals. And I think it was called Elephant Seal Beach, something like that. But they're just all over the place. I mean, they look like they're dead. They're just sound asleep, though. Just all over. A little bit further up the road, they're still doing construction on the one from like Santa Barbara up to, almost San Jose, maybe Half Moon, maybe Monterey. And so this was one of those places where we got stopped because it was a one-lane road. They had flash flooding and the highway washed out. So we got stopped a lot. But it's just so pretty. I never get tired of looking at that. So this is Carmel. We stayed at this cute little place on the other side of town, of course. It was about a 30-minute walk to the beach. And so we went down, and of course it was uphill. It was up in the hills. And so we walked down, had dinner, and then we walked down to the beach so we could see the sunset. And I'm glad that we did, because every other place that I had designated in our schedule to watch the sunset, it was foggy. We couldn't see the sun. But here it was, and it was just stunning. So pretty. So then we drove up to San Jose. This is the Winchester Mystery House. This was a door to literally nowhere. That was her carriage, steps that go nowhere. She was very superstitious. She believed that she was cursed, that the Winchester family was cursed because her husband had created the pistol that killed so many people, and so their ghosts were then haunting her. And as long as she continued to build on the house, they would leave her alone. That's what she thought. So she built all these crazy things and kept adding on to the house, trying to confuse the ghosts so that they would leave her alone. This was her bedroom, I think. Pretty sure. In the sitting room. There was one room that we were in. There were spider web things everywhere, all in 13s. Like I said, she was super superstitious. There was one room we were in. Maybe that was her bedroom. I can't remember. It was in this room. It was the coldest room of the whole house. There was AC throughout, so we were reasonably comfortable. I mean, I was warm, but it's okay. But when we got in this room, it was like ice, and we found out it was the seance room. That's where she would have her seances. So there may have been other folks in there with us. I don't know. But as a way to confuse them, you open the closet doors and there's a stairway, and you go up these stairs and into the next room. What was that? Oh, a toilet. Another bathroom. Another bathroom. China and stuff. Staircase. Oh yeah, that was a door to nowhere. Opening the door, that's the outside. So if you take a step, you would fall down to the ground. Because we were on the second or third floor, I think. Bathroom, dining room, front door, pipe organ. Look at that pipe organ, gorgeous. Chandelier. This is all that was all in the dining room. This is the servants' quarters, servants' kitchen. So that's us on the outside of the house. It's a really beautiful place. And it's right in the downtown business district. I drove right past it. I didn't even see it. Even though GPS is screaming at me, turn right, turn right. I didn't even see it because there's all these skyscrapers and stuff all around. And then this house is just there in the middle. There's Barbara Ann. This is my friend Sally. Sally and I have been friends for, 30 years. Long time. I knew her when I was in seminary, and we've kept in touch all these years. She was at my ordination and all these things. And, of course, I haven't seen her in such a long time, and it was really, really good to see her. So then from there, well, of course, we got lost in the dark, but we did finally get up to San Francisco and stayed in the Embarcadero, which was really fun. And the next morning, we bought one of those tickets to the hop-on, hop-off bus. And, oh, there's my timer. Go 3 minutes. Got 3 minutes. So the bus picked up right across the street from our hotel, which worked out great. And they took us to the Golden Gate. So we were so lucky that day because it was clear, no fog. For those of you who've been to San Francisco, you know how foggy it can get. And Ken doesn't believe it because he has yet to see it. But it was just stunning that day. Look at that. And then we walked across the Golden Gate. I got to do it. I was so excited. And so that's from the middle of the bridge looking over at the city. Then we got to the other side. So that's from the north side. Yeah, it is noisy on the bridge. Yeah. Then we went to the Hard Rock, of course. Lots of things from Journey. There's Alcatraz, more sea lions. Can you turn the volume up?
No.
Doesn't? Okay. Well, I have a video of them barking.
You didn't tell me you needed audio.
Oh, that's all right. You've all heard him before, but you can see how that guy's just going for it. Just really telling off his buddy. So funny. So then we went to Fisherman's Wharf. And last time I was there, they just had sourdough stands. They didn't have an actual place. So now they don't have any stands, they have a place. And it's a restaurant, so you can't even go in and get a boule, like just a loaf of French bread. You have to go in and have a meal. So that was disappointing because Ken really wanted a loaf of French bread. And of course, I'd have gone nuts if they'd had gluten-free. I'd have been so excited, but they didn't even have that, which was a bummer. They did have a Ferris wheel, though. I don't ride Ferris wheels. They make me dizzy. So we went to Ghirardelli Square. We saw the little turntable at the end of the line where the cable cars come in, and everybody jumps off, and they push them around, turn them around, and then it goes the other way. So that's what that's doing. It's on the turntable. Then we did a sunset tour of San Francisco. This is Grace Cathedral. So if you've heard of Grace Cathedral in San Francisco, this is Lutheran, by the way, big Lutheran church. I know you guys have been there. This was a brownstone, the only brownstone building in San Francisco to survive the 1906 fire and earthquake. Still standing today. Transamerica building. So we're on the Bay Bridge. You can't really see it. You can sort of see the marine layer coming in, the fog. Here's the fog. That's what I was going for, trying to find the fog. Okay, Old Bay Bridge. So we're on Treasure Island, which they are redeveloping. The city bought it back from the military, so it's no longer a military base. And they are going to be developing it for low-income housing for veterans. Yeah, it's great. And nice stuff, not the janky stuff that veterans get stuck with. It's pretty nice. Bay Bridge, San Francisco. Come on. Going back over the bridge. This is a really interesting building. Look at this. I mean, it looks like permanent earthquake damage because it's just twisted, but they built it that way on purpose. So cool. Apartments. This is a monument that's right there by the Bay Bridge that is an ode to Tony Bennett, and I left my heart in San Francisco. So there's the arrow that was shot in the heart. Ferry building. Okay, I'm going to stop there because that was my hour, but this is a good place to stop because this is Berkeley. And my seminary picture, and there I am right there. That's me. So that's where we'll pick up next week. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And oh, no, you haven't heard about the dead body yet because we're not there yet. We're not there. It's coming, though. It's actually this day.
It's a tease, so better come back next.
Yep, you got to come back next week if you want to find out about the dead body.
Same bat channel.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks, guys. Thank you for coming.